what types of public funding of public schools do you support? And then, are there alternatives to the real property tax?
Okay. I think it's imperative that we come up with a new funding formula for education in Pennsylvania. Our formula that we currently have, Sam Hayes was the author of, and it worked great when it worked. But as you know, with bureaucracy, it doesn't take too long for things to become really screwed up when you put bureaucrats in charge. And what's happened over the years, over the last 2 decades, is mainly special ed funding, which is mandated from the federal government. They said they would pay for it. They've never paid more than, I think, 35, 36%. That's wreaked havoc on some of our districts, a lot of our districts. One of the things that I've fought for over the years has been charter school reforms to make them accountable, held to the same standards as regular bricks and mortar, especially our cyber charter schools. We have more cyber charter schools than any other state except for Arizona, and none of them are making the grade. And they are just taking the taxpayers to the bank, and our school districts don't get to see that money. They're here to stay. I'm not opposed to cyber charter schools. I am opposed to a school that's not making the grade and allowing us to continue to do that by not holding them to the same standards. And there was a second part to that question, I'm sorry.
Are there alternatives to the real property tax?
Okay, is that 2 questions or is that 1 question? Because she's giving me 30 seconds and that's
Give it your best.
All right. Property taxes bring in a couple $2 billion in revenue, primarily for our school districts, which, as you know, you get your tax bill from the local school district. It's much higher than what your county commissioners are sending you. To do away with that, to get to a sales tax, I think there's enough votes out there to have a small increase in the sales tax. Now, what happens is there's 74 or 75 exemptions on there. And every time that it comes up, people start pulling a couple off. Right now, funeral expenses are not, you don't have to pay taxes on. So the funeral directors will bring in all the bereaved widows and widowers and saying, they can't pay their bill here, blah, 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 blah. End of the day, we'll leave them exempt. And then CPAs and then attorneys will bring in, the worst case scenario, a battered wife trying to get away from her husband who just needs a divorce and what have you. And those are all legit. However, before long, you've pulled enough of those off that little increase in sales tax is now like this big. And then that's where it loses votes. My first term, I believe it had 70-some votes. The second term, when it came up, it was down to like 59. Last year, or last spring or last fall, when we last did it, it was in the 40s. So I would like to think that maybe we can get to a more even thing. I think there's a lot of people that obviously aren't paying property taxes that are in the school system and using county services, and I think we can come to a more equalized form, but it's not going to happen overnight, certainly. Same with the businesses, if they're exempt, why doesn't Walmart have to pay taxes? And people are saying, well, gosh, how big is a business, how small is a business, and then that's when it just works.